this video we're going to be talking about the trends in crime for A2 Sociology, the crime and deviance section, and the type of question you could be asked is assess the view that crime is a growing problem in modern Britain. So for the introduction you might write something like, the media and some theories believe that the crime rate has risen, but it is argued that official statistics cannot be trusted and that crime rates have just been exaggerated. So, the official statistics show that there has been a rise of crime from 2015 to 2016. However, a large part of this is thought to be due to improved compliance with national recording standards by the police forces in the last year, so anything in red can be used as an evaluation point. There was a 16% rise in violence with injury and a 9% rise of having possession of a knife or a sharp instrument in 2015 to 2016. However, this may just represent a more proactive police response to violent crime, though it is possible that improvements in recording of violent offences is also contributing. And sexual offences rose to 41% and reported rapes leapt 29% from 2013 to 2014, and Barker believes that this rise is due to a greater willingness to report incidents and that people may have become desensitised. So you could also criticise the issue of there being a rise of crime with the fact that there may not be a rise of crime, as there was a 6% decrease in crime compared to 2015, but this is not considered statistically significant. Also, official statistics do not represent a valid picture, as a lot of crime is not reported due to embarrassment or if the person thinks that crime is too trivial. There's also a dark figure of crime, and this shows the incompetence of official statistic process because it causes people to believe the official picture that is created by these statistics is correct, but they're actually incomplete and therefore inaccurate. And not all crimes have an obvious victim, such like prostitution, and this means that they will be less likely to report crimes such as white-collar crime. So if we talk about theories that support the idea that there has been a rise of crime, and you've got left realists who believe that poverty has led to a rise of crime, right realists who believe that the rise of crime is due to inadequate policing and punishment, and globalisation theorists believe that this has led to an increase in greed across the world. So if we start off with left realists, and the main two theorists are Lee and Young, and they believe that crime has risen because of growing inequality leading to marginalisation and relative deprivation. People are now more aware of relative deprivation because of the media and advertising, which raises everyone's expectations about living standard. This means that those who feel worse off are more likely to commit utilitarian crime. And the rise in street crime can be explained by the working class forming deviant subcultures, which is due to their perception that society does not value them. So right realists, they believe that crime has risen due to overgenerous welfare and inadequate policing and punishment. So Marsden believed that the welfare state is responsible for the rise of crime, as there has been the emergence of the underclass because welfare dependency has undermined people's sense of commitment and obligation to one another. And another right realist, Clark, believes that the decision to commit crime is a choice based on rational choice calculations of the likely consequences, but because policing is not sufficient and punishment does not act as a deterrent, people are more likely to commit crime. So if we now move over and evaluate the problems with both left and right realists, you have the issue that they assume official statistics are correct, but they might not be. They ignore the rise of white-collar crime, and they ignore the rise of globalised crime, which we're going to talk about next. So for globalised crime, the main theorist is Taylor, and Taylor believes that globalisation has led to a rise of crime because it's given rein to free forces. Globalisation has led to materialism as an increase of crime as it speeds up greed around the world and destroys jobs in the West. The resulting strain from lack of legitimate opportunities may encourage the poor to adopt criminal behaviour. Globalisation has resulted in an increase in domestic crime because transnational corporations, or TNCs for short, increasingly switch production away from the West to the developing world. TNCs may overlap between criminal organisations and powerful wealthy elites who launder money to make it look legal. So, now we're going to evaluate globalised crime. Globalised crime is too difficult to police as international laws are ill-defined and criminal justice systems do not have the global powers to pursue global criminals. And Marxists would argue that white-collar and corporate crime have risen, so they support Taylor, but due to the media's selective news values, white-collar and corporate crimes are also underreported, which means that white-collar crimes may have risen, but the public are unaware of these crimes. So if we talk about theories that support the idea that there has not been a rise of crime, there's only two. You've got labelling theory that believes there's just been more labelling and not an actual rise of crime, and neo-Marxists like Hall who believes that the media amplify deviance. So they're sort of similar because labelling theory also says that the media amplify deviance. So if we start off with labelling theory, and they believe that there is not a rise of crime, just more labelling of acts as criminal rather than a real increase of crime. So Young studied hippie marijuana users in Notting Hill in 1971, and he found that the drug use to them was a lifestyle, but labelling by the control culture, which is like the media, led to hippies to see themselves as outsiders. They developed into a deviant subculture, and drug use then became the central activity, which created a self-fulfilling prophecy. So now if we evaluate labelling theory, it's very useful as it's shown us how crime statistics are socially constructed because more police and media reports mean that more so-called criminals will be detected. So neo-Marxists like Hall believe that due to the crisis of capitalism in the 1970s, it forced young blacks to engage in street crime. The reaction to the media's exaggeration and the reaction of the public led to tougher arrests, and this meant that the media and the moral panic led to more stop and searches, which demonstrated how deviance was amplified, because it meant that there were more arrests and then the crime rate went up. However, the problem with the Hall study is that it ignores the people at the centre of the whole activity, which is the muggers themselves. So in conclusion, both official crime statistics and the Crime Survey of England and Wales suggest that the crime rate has been falling since the late 1990s, but we must be careful when only using official statistics.